What's happening is that the doors to people's hearts are opening, that your heart center, your heart chakra, if you will, which spins in greenish yellow, that's the color of grass in the botanical world. That color of grass is that color because of 528. In fact, you would not have 5,280 feet in a measured mile if it wasn't for 528. You wouldn't have circles. You wouldn't have any sacred geometry. You wouldn't have pyramids. Pyramids are intimately constructed based on the mathematics of pi, phi. You wouldn't have pi or phi without 528. In other words, you wouldn't have anything without love.
Welcome back, everybody, to Chapter 9 of the Book of 528. This is the second reading of the day. Thank you so much to everybody who's here live. Thank you to everybody on YouTube. Shout out to everybody on TikTok. Thank you all for staying with me for so long. I'm going to get 528 on in here. I'll turn that down. Oh, that volume was kind of quiet for the intro. I apologize about the volume on that. I've been working on balancing my audio in between live and on YouTube as well. But thank you to everybody. Thank you to whoever just tuned in on YouTube. Thank you so much. We got 528 going. We got this going. Let me get the book on the screen. So for anybody who's new here, I don't know if anybody is new, but because in case there's the smallest chance that there's anybody new here, whether you're on YouTube, this is the cover of the book, but I want to read the dedication to the book just because that's how we've been starting off every stream. And if you're new to the Book of 528, I feel like this is a very good preface to give some more context to the words that I'm speaking today. So this is the dedication to the Book of 528. The Book of 528, Prosperity Key of Love, may be the most important book in history following the Holy Bible and Aristotle's physics that birthed modern religions and science. The divided worlds of science and religion shall merge from this knowledge of 528, the musical, mathematical frequency of spiritual energy fundamental to space-time. 528 unites every field, illuminating love for the enlightenment of humankind. 528, the universal love constant, manifests miracles from love and makes love miraculous. 528 is responsible for the constant flow of love that heals and sustains people spiritually. The heart of this clear channel of music, 528 hertz on the universal dial, broadcasts you into existence every nano instant. These revelations compel civilization to build a new foundation in celebration of love that is sourcing, unifying, and guiding all creation. May this 528 key of the House of David facilitate civilization's salvation through spiritual evolution. Always love reading that. Shout out to anybody who's new here. That is why we read that if you're new here. Otherwise, we're going to get right into Chapter 9, which I think is right here. Yeah, this is Chapter 9. So Chapter 9, Divine Music and the Key of 528. Let me take a sip of water. All right. Again, thank you all. Thank you all for being here live with me to witness this live. I appreciate you all being here to listen to me read this live as well. I appreciate you all. Let's get into it. Chapter 9, Divine Music and the Key of 528. The Book of Revelation records the current transition from Babylonian dissonance to peace on earth. The story features the Church of Satan's devil doing that is extinguished by singing a new song. The 1,000 years of world peace, the Messianic age, where you come to know yourself as a divine family member, is at hand. This chapter considers the administration of this transformation in greater detail, focusing on the system dynamics of creationism and the musical mathematics of evolution, including the evolution of consciousness. Lives are already being uplifted to a more righteous dimension, energetically and physically, as people globally are retuning their instruments and bodies to 528 hertz. This new reality is attracting survivors and thrivers. Cosmic forces are calling forth this charge. Shout out to people who just joined in here. Dominic, Miss Erin, thank you so much. Lives are already being uplifted to a more righteous dimension. I just read that. I got distracted. People who are not tuned into this musical mathematical matrix of space-time, which would not exist without Love 528, are missing the available rewards, and this is their karma. The grand performance of divine music is compelling the end of the A440 imposition era, an eternal energy cycle radiating love with 528 at its heart is moving humanity away from fear and into firmer faith. This key to the House of David, opening your heart, is altering the mood and temperament of audiences everywhere. Music can do this, as you have experienced, especially if you have listened to alternative tunings. The power of music played in 528, for example, has already been reported by expanding. Is this a word? Expanding, I think he meant. Let me restart that. The power of music played in 528, for example, has already been reported to expand intuition and benefit health and well-being. Humanity is merging from the dark ages of spiritual repression, largely due to neglected knowledge about what music is and does. As you've been learning in this book, 528 Hz resonance is central to everything in the universe. I'll read that again. As you've been learning in this book, 528 Hz resonance is central to everything in the universe. Everything in nature is scaled, and the pure tone of 528 Hz is fundamental to scaling. The frequency central to the audio spectrum of creation is theorized to be the same number, 528 nm, the visible light frequency of greenish-yellow at the heart of the rainbow. Look carefully at Rodin's mathematical matrix in Figure 27. Notice 528 and 639 are not directly adjacent to each other in this simple two-dimensional figure, even though they are the two central notes of the original solfeggio. Theoretically, these two frequencies are broadcasting two separate parallel dimensions, or two universes within God's master matrix. Find the X at the center of this powerful Rodin matrix. From the 9, here we can show you this. This is talking about this, Figure 7, talking about this type of matrix. Find the X at the center of this powerful Rodin matrix. From the 9 at the center, following the left diagonal ascending pattern of 1 through 9. Notice this is not reflected in the lower descending pattern of the X, where you might expect to see the same 1 through 9 pattern continue. The pattern is displaced. The same pattern can be found again by shifting number blocks. Can you locate the same pattern elsewhere throughout the matrix? I'll let you all on YouTube if you'd like to go back and pause the video and look at that figure. This pattern shift is theoretically responsible for the torque and spin of planets throughout the cosmos, as depicted in Figure 29, showing Harriman's double toroidal universe structure. It may also reflect that different levels of the matrix, or parallel matrices, or different levels of reality exist. Would you like to travel in the spiritual dimension of this reality? The one that is traveled by angels or fallen angels? You make the choice to switch into either frequency or reality. The Rodin-Powell Grand Unified Field Theory. Randy Powell, working with Marco Rodin on advanced vortex math, stated in 2010 that their Grand Unified Field Theory provides the opportunity to create inexhaustible free energy, end all disease, produce unlimited food, travel anywhere in the universe, build the ultimate supercomputer, artificial intelligence, and make obsolete all existing technology. How is this possible to make such outrageous claims? Because we have a secret that connects all of the world's technology together. Numbers, a living language. The pyramid shown in the center of Figure 30 is a representative of what we call flux fields. We have electricity, and at the center of electricity is magnetism, and the center of magnetism is a flux, a higher dimensional energy known by many names, such as dark energy, tachyons, monopoles, and gravitons. We call it etherion, or etheron energy. It is not a static or stationary energy. It's a pulse, a surge, the beating heart of all existence. It's the ultimate fundamental particle of the universe, the God particle. This energy is the source of all time, motion, and vibration. It's the only thing that comes from the whole, the zero, the center of the cyclone. It animates everything. It's the source of non-decaying spin of the electrons. Etherons are literally the glue that holds the universe together. I've already mentioned that the two adjacent solfeggio frequencies, 528 and 639, resolve in Pythagorean mystery school mathematics to the numbers of 6 and 9. Respectively, these are also the numbers for the alpha and the omega, beginning and end, the yin and yang, male and female, that some children in my 3rd grade class were punished for writing in their notebooks due to the sexual inference of 69. How sad it is that our teachers never learned or taught students the truth about the origin and metaphysical meanings of this symbol. Yet, the 69 appears commonly in Illuminati symbols like the corporate logos for Pepsi, reversal, Pepsi ends up adding to 6, and Safeway supermarkets as shown in figure 28. The 6 suggests a spiraling down from heaven to earth. The 9 spirals up from earth into the wholeness of heaven. The miracle 6, designation for 528 Hertz, reflects the power of that number to manifest the miracles of creation. The combined symbols, 69, also represents the Piscean balance. Merge these two numbers on top of one another to form the infinity symbol, or an 8. It is also interesting that by placing the circles from both numbers on top of one another, you get the symbol for a hurricane, reflecting knowledge that everything in the universe is spinning. This is all associated with a matrix of music that makes the stars and animates the galaxies. Again, for those of you who are watching on YouTube, you're seeing all these figures. I would invite you to, I think a lot of these figures are available on Dr. Horowitz's website, if not in the book itself, so I'd recommend getting the book. We're going to move into the next passage. The sound of the planets. The anonymous biophysicist I referenced earlier explained to me the concept of determining the precise pure tone that every planet in our solar system broadcasts. He wisely considered the mathematics of their orbits and provided the following protocol and explanation. A planetary orbit can be looked at as an extremely low note in the cosmic musical scale, with, let's say, 1 cycle per year. An overtone series of higher notes is simply a doubling for each octave going up, or a halving for each octave going down. Imagine the Earth's orbit around the Sun is a note of 1 cycle per year. The harmonic 1 octave higher is 2 cycles per year. 2 octaves higher is 4 cycles a year. 3 octaves higher is 8 cycles a year, and so on. 33 octaves above the Earth year is 8,589,934,592 cycles per year. Since in 1 year there are 365.2422 days times 86,400 seconds in a day, that would equal 31,556,926 seconds. Then, at 33 octaves up, that 8 billion number cycles per year times the 31 million divided by the 31 million seconds equals 272.204 cycles per second, or hertz frequencies. If C equals 261.6 hertz and C sharp is 277.18, then in order to play in the key of Earth, you must tune to a note that is 2/3 of the way from C to C sharp. This is the author's note. This is close to what you would actually tune your instruments to while tuning to 528, which is the 5th octave C on your piano, since half of 528 is the 4th octave C 264, and this is a bit less than 2/3 of the way to C sharp when standard tuning is issued. Another example is the moon. We can identify 2 different notes with the moon's orbit. 227 hertz for the zodiac moon key and 210.25 hertz for the full moon key. The former is halfway between A equals 220 to A equals 233, and the full moon key is a bit higher than G sharp at 207.65. So the planets are actually singing. Say that again. So the planets are actually singing, although you can't hear them as NASA does. Their harmonic voices or frequencies are phase locked with the sound of the sun, and the sun's frequencies have been heard vacillating around 528 hertz. This is the miracle sound of nature. In fact, our solar system, galaxy, and each microscopic part of the universe has its own vibration that is obviously scaled according to the laws of math, music, and 528 love. Tables 7 and 8 show the consistent expression of the 3, 6, and 9 number set within the master matrix, generating the microscopic and macrocosmic realms, courtesy of astrophysicist Muller. This knowledge is important to creating peace on Earth, wherein people have learned to live in harmony with nature and each other. These same laws of physics, mathematics, and music must apply, be taught, and integrated into every practice. This is what natural law commands, and what the 528 Love Revolution seeks to inspire in the arts and sciences. The Sun and 528 is the title of the next passage. I think one of my speakers stopped putting up 528. There we go. Much better. The Sun and 528. Pure light is caused to be in your body by the light of the sun that vibrates in 528 hertz. Even the sun's spherical shape depends on 528 hertz. Here's what's happening to assure your existence as a manifestation of love. The sun, according to NASA recordings distributed by David Sereda. Wow, I didn't know he did that. Cool. I'm going to say that again. The sun, according to NASA recordings distributed by researcher David Sereda, vibrates fundamentally at 528 hertz frequency. This can be heard when the NASA recording is played with the 528 tuning fork struck simultaneously. The chlorophyll in plants receives this 528 hertz sound and the 528 nm of light and reflects this in its color of the greenish yellow molecule, also structurally reflecting 528. Hold on, I'm just going to go back and read that again. This figure threw me off. The greenish yellow molecule, also structurally reflecting 528, takes the input electrons vibrating in 528 and outputs oxygen, likewise resonating in 528. The 528 resonating oxygen feeds every cell in your body. This is how love actually sustains your life. This love vibe is meant to be in your body and makes you one for all and all for one, whole and complete with the creative spirit of sunshine. On earth as it is in heaven, affirms the matrix of universal intelligence, or God consciousness, and is available to you by choice. Seek and you will find, ask and you will receive. You have the option to access the source of wisdom and unconditional love through your heart, as above, so below. So choose to receive 528 and you will know true love. Moreover, figure 30 proves that 528 is critical to Rodin's infinity pattern that sources all the family number groups that he proved creates the master matrix and the double toroid structure, the universe, and subsequently phi and pi. This proves 528 is not only fundamental to universal structuring and measurements, but that your DNA is actually connected to space and time. This scientific and mathematical proof demonstrates conclusively that there is nothing more powerful and nothing more important on the Creator's heart and colorful creative palette than love in 528. Knowledge in this book evidences that enlightenment or spiritual transformation is best acquired and broadcast musically in 528 hertz harmony, now accessible at i528tunes.com. Musical mathematics creates the rules by which this game of life is played. So this intelligence was hidden, guarded, and abused by those who create dissonance and division between God and man and nature, and between humans. Sages, prophets, and especially alchemists throughout the time knew this truth that you are now acquiring. In fact, this musical mathematical know-how for spiritual ascendancy became the most guarded secret in the world, valued above all possessions by the Illuminati. The next passage is the genetic code and musical math. On May 20, 2010, J. Craig Venter, who stole the Human Genome Project from the public domain on behalf of George Soros and his quantum fund investors in Celera Genomics, pronounced he had created artificial life. The Illuminati's news media then heralded God is dead. This book definitively debunks such pharma whores and proves that God and love is very much alive. Figures 30 and 31 show the structure of DNA is the repeating pattern of spiraling units that make up genetic strands formed in the image of simple mathematical patterns. This is additional evidence that life sources from God's word, which is sound or frequencies broadcasting simple math. Moreover, DNA spirals in a sea of water that is structurally triangulated and hexagonally shaped according to phi and 528 Hz resonance that structures water with love. The double helix that receives and transmits light and sound signals also vibrates sound that harmonize with nature. Theoretically, DNA resonance. Start again. Theoretically, DNA resonance that is phase locked in harmony with 528 in the master matrix yields the essence of enlightenment and perfect genetic expression. The material precipitation of DNA orchestrating biology musically features the sacred geometry of hexagonal organic chemistry requiring 528 Hz frequency. As explained by Muller, each of these 6 formative nodes in the standing gravitational wave emanates energy in all dimensions, forcing global or universal scaling. Visualizing these vibrational energies within and around each DNA strand and the universe at large facilitates understanding of the cymatic forces crystallizing physical reality as further detailed in figures 30 and 32. Imagine the force of the perfect circle of sound, the cosmic frequencies and their interactions, creating the structure of the universe. Then imagine the 3-dimensional tetrahedron-shaped water molecules hydrating every nook and cranny of your body, especially your DNA, being divinely energized, especially during sleep, by this scalar orchestra. These cosmically connected water molecules flow into the shape of Solomon's seal, the Star of David, and the Merkaba, a 9-pointed star reflecting the ancient sun symbol, because water molecules cluster from optimal communion or energetic and even electrogenic function. All of these energy dynamics involve patterns of math. In fact, all sacred geometry does likewise. Everything flows hydrosonically and vibrationally into physical reality. The carbon-6 ring in organic chemistry demonstrates this obviously, now that we know so much about 528 and cosmic design. This is also the case in natural construction of DNA, a spiraling circle of chemistry manifested from simple musical math, featuring 528 Hz at its heart. Harmonic combinations of frequencies form major, minor, augmented, or diminished triads that resonate physical reality into order. This respects the supreme law of the universe, the master matrix of music. These chords of creation move material matter into physical forms or crystallizations. The manifestation of matter flows along paths of least resistance. Alternatively, string theorists say vibrating strings resonate all matter into existence. This next passage is string theory. Somebody say it, text it louder. What's going on? Somebody have a question? Shout out to everybody that's in here. If you do have a question, ask, and I'll see if I can get to it after this. This is passage called String Theory and the Perfect Circle of Sound. We used the perfect circle of sound icon in figure 33 to create the water resonator, which projects the 9 core frequencies of creation into the atmosphere of the room or into the water in a crystalline glass or plastic container to which is applied. This logo provides a positive affirmation of the greatest truth in history. You are a digital, bioholographic precipitation, crystallization, miraculous manifestation of divine love vibrations coming out of water. You come into this life naturally with gratitude from the perfect circle of sound, with love 528 resonating throughout your body and spiritual being. When you die, your spirit, consciousness, or soul returns back to this kingdom of heaven. The perfect circle of sound helps advance the string theory in physics, a developing hypothesis that attempts to reconcile quantum mechanics, general relativity, and physical reality. In this regard, you might consider the universe like a 9-string instrument. 9-string musical instrument, sorry. String theory is a contender for the theory of everything, explains Wikipedia, a manner of describing the known fundamental forces and matter in a mathematically complete system. String theory posits that particles, electrons, and quarks within atoms are one-dimensional oscillating lines, or strings. The most advanced superstring theories assert that strings are really vibrating in multidimensional space. String theorists commonly use guitar strings to illustrate this point. The cosmic strings vibrate like a guitar string, producing multiple but distinct musical notes as you move up and down the string. In this analogy, different notes correspond to the different particles. In reality, string theorists say, the strings could vibrate in any direction, meaning that the particles could move through not only our dimension, but other dimensions as well. Regarding the importance of natural scaling according to 3s, 6s, and 9s, Wikipedia reported, on distant scales larger than the string radius, each oscillation mode behaves as different species of particle, with its mass, spin, and charge determined by the string's dynamics. Splitting and recombining strings corresponds to particle emissions and absorptions, giving rise to the interactions between particles. So, literally, string theory explains the manifestation of physical reality, resulting from musical arithmetic and the universal orchestra's impact on light and sound signals. These are called photons and phonons, respectively, in the world of biophysics. DNA receives and transmits these signals, ultimately materializing your body parts, like you are being beamed energetically into this reality. This hydroacoustic creation system also creates inorganic particles. String theorists go as far as asserting that particles actually transform their physical properties based on the vibration of the strings. In essence, what may have seemed far-fetched to some people is being advanced by world-leading astrophysicists and biophysicists. The math of invariance. Now let's look at the amazing contributions provided by the world's leading expert in the field of musical mathematics and its impact on civilizations, Ernest G. McLean. He wrote a book about harmonical analysis called The Myth of Invariance, The Origin of Gods, Mathematics, and Music from the RG Veda to Plato. The purpose of harmonical analysis, according to McLean, is to synthesize the tonal, arithmetical, and geometrical imagery of ancient salvations. It aims at the reconstruction of the esoteric diagrams which give the sacred symbols of particular cultures their enduring and magical powers, and furnished philosophy with the ground of certainty. McLean's scholarship is largely represented in figures 35 through 39, accompanied by explanatory legends. Considering alternative tunings, McLean's research of ancient civilizations offers compelling evidence that 528 Hz may be the answer to the nagging problem in musicology noted by every expert. That is the Pythagorean comma. We're about to get a little mathy for everybody that's in here. This is called the Pythagorean comma, this passage. A comma in punctuation is used to indicate the separation of elements in sentences. A comma in music refers to a separation of mathematical congruity between notes in the same scale. Metaphorically, the Pythagorean comma interrupts the cosmic concert. But how can you interrupt universal creationism? Something does not add up. The Pythagorean comma is the separation between what is real or rational versus what is just a bit off or irrational in math and science. The Pythagorean comma is defined as the ratio 524,288 to 531,441, by which A flat and G sharp overlap, worth about 24 cents. In other words, there is 24, which equals 2 plus 4 is 6, missing about 6 musical cents in every scale of music or man-made measures of space and time. And this approximates 528, considering halfway between 524,000 and 531,000. This is 527,804, or rounded off becomes 528,000. Recall that there are 5,280 feet in a measured mile. To understand this astonishing significance of this, you need to fathom the nagging problem of irrationality in the 364-day lunar calendar and the difference between ancient and modern pi and phi, as Scholl detailed in Chapter 3. The Pythagorean comma proposes that we can remedy the inaccuracy of our space-time measurements to live as nature does, in sync with the divine reality, not the Illuminati's hypocrisy. The Pythagorean comma measures the irrationality of the chromatic music scale, as opposed to the rationality of using whole numbers and whole number ratios in the diatonic scale. MacLean actually references this as a key to unlock this door to the heart of the crisis. A crisis in thought neglected and secreted by the Illuminati. In MacLean's words, as our study unfolds, it will raise serious questions about the early development of mathematical thinking, about depths which the calendar and scale may owe to each other, and about the possible origins of both the mathematics of music and its related mythology. They are among the many questions we cannot answer satisfactorily, as long as a vast amount of archaeological material lies in disarray, unexamined or still undecipherable, much of it untranslated, and as long as a considerable amount of the surviving literature of classical time still remains inaccessible for a want of a key. Historians of science have barely begun to cope with certain kinds of material available to them, and we must await their judgment on many issues. A musical analysis of RG-Vedic imagery will provide, we believe, a new tool for the study of the origins of science, of our calendar, of musical theory, and of the roots of our civilization. MacLean is describing problems neglected by the controllers of the arts and the sciences. Indeed, this identifies the use of dogmatic propositions in logic or mathematics that are assumed without proof for the sake of studying consequences that are urgent today. Civilization and nature are now under deadly attacks by Illuminati overlords that have managed to deceive the brightest minds in academia for control over the mass mind. MacLean's remorse over a key to the sacred intelligence is remedied by this publication in the 528 Love Revolution. The next passage is the Monochord model of the universe. Somebody was supposed to ask me a question. I don't think I see it. Shout out to all of you. Thank you for being here. The Monochord model of the universe. This is the next passage. Modern string theorists follow in the tradition of ancient monochord alchemists. The monochord, a single-stringed instrument with a movable bridge, is used to experiment with different notes, harmonics, or nodes along the string. Experiments to study natural harmony and math ratios of whole notes, such as 1 to 2, as you move the bridge along the vibrating string, were performed this way over the millennia. MacLean quotes Plato as saying, "The tyrant is 729 times as bad as the good man." What does this mean? Plato's statement about evil versus good men evidences the theory that human personalities are similarly scaled along a linear axis or string. Thus, destiny is influenced musically, mathematically, like everything else. This may be the best evidence and explanation for God's knowledge of you before your birth and after your death. In other words, according to rational numbers, that is, natural, not man-made or mentally contrived irrational numbers, personalities might be measured along a monochord scale or string of vibrational probabilities. One man might be measured 729 times as bad as the good man. Plato's statement assumes there is a cosmic polarity of good versus bad that dynamically affects the expression of goodness or evil in people. Such a positive and negative scale, or even string, would affect personalities, even destinies, during human development as discussed in the previous chapter. Thank you all for being here. This is the next passage, 528 and 0 point. What if the string was shaped like the figure 8? what if the top half of the string was generating positive energy and the bottom polarity was radiating negative energy? This vision is consistent with physicians Nassim Haramehn's double toroidal universe construction that takes into consideration polarity shifts within a continuous 8-like design, as shown here in figure 29. Here, the upper torus circulates in one direction, while the lower one flows in the opposite direction. MacLean, whose works preceded those of the string theorists, provides astonishing evidence that 528 may be a pivotal point between positive and negative polarities, like that one spot at the heart of the figure 8, where the two energy vectors or string paths cross. Physicists talk about zero-point energy, or the event horizon, wherein physical material manifests from pure potential called the quantum field. I propose that 528 is uniquely linked to this portal, considering it, 1, resonates at the heart of everything, 2, is the miracle 6 note of creation, 3, is symbolized by the 6 that appears like a downward spiral into a whole note or circle depicting the whole earth, circle of life, and earthly materialization, 4, represents the heart of the problem of the Pythagorean comma, and 5 represents the solution to the mathematical problem or dilemma created by the so note. In chapter 3, I also shared my theory that the decimal point separating whole numbers from fractions represents a point along a string that suddenly shifts the scale and energy one magnitude. This was evidenced by Estes and Walton's work or experiments with 8, 88, and 88.8 Hz frequency music. Only the 88.8 dramatically impacted the energy of the sound and musical experience, imparting the feeling of a spinning vortex. I can confirm that that actually does that. Indeed, the Illuminati has stewarded civilization's evolution into ignorance for centuries. It has secreted and circumvented these mathematical certainties and theories. Tragically, as a result, humanity has neglected nature's innate mathematical and musical intelligence and fundamental invariance. They created the octave along with the irrationally divided chromatic scale. No wonder there is a nagging problem with music being less than real. It feels unnatural, disharmonious with nature, and distressing. This is perceived by sensitive musicians who listen to alternative tunings such as A432, discussed later, or A444, that represents C5 at 528. This music commonly creates ecstatic listening. This next thing is recovering ecstasy. A vibrating string of any reference length can be halved to sound the octave higher or doubled to sound the octave lower. I'll read that again for those who didn't understand that. A vibrating string of any reference length can be halved to sound the octave higher or doubled to sound the octave lower. That's from MacLean. Since all tones recur cyclically at the octave as the same tone in one sense, but a different tone in another, any octave can serve as the model for all possible octaves. At least for the general purposes of tuning theory. The cyclic structure of the octave is the invariant common to all systems of tuning. The tone circle functions as a cyclic matrix within which derivative tones come to birth. MacLean emphasizes the word invariant common. MacLean emphasizes the word invariant common to all systems of tuning because the earliest civilizations, including the Sumerians and Babylonians, used other than octave scales. Some of these, including A444 Hz or 88.8 Hz, produces results you can feel or sense, with the optimal result producing a sense of euphoria, universal harmony, or ecstasy. According to Music Cognition Handbook, a dictionary of concepts by David Huron, on occasion, music will elicit a sensation of shivers located in the back, neck, and shoulders of an aroused listener, a physiological response technically called frisson. The frisson experience normally has a duration of no more than 4 to 5 seconds, much like a kundalini rush during which energy travels up the spine, causing shivers. Huron technically described frisson as follows. It begins as a flexing of skin in the lower back, rising upward, inward from the shoulders, up the neck, and sometimes across the cheeks and onto the scalp. The face may become flush, hair follicles flex, the hair standing into position, and goosebumps may appear, technically termed pilorections and horoplations. Frequently, a series of waves will rise up the back in rapid succession. The listener feels the music to have elicited an ecstatic moment and tends to regard the experience as involuntary. Goldstein, in 1980, has shown that some listeners report reduced excitement when under a clinically administered dose of an opiate receptor antagonist, naloxone, suggesting that musical engenders endogenous... Oh, come on. These science words. Suggesting that music engenders endogenous opioid peptides characteristic of pleasurable experiences. Sloboda, in 1991, has found evidence linking shivers responses to works especially loved by subjects, emphasis on love. Theoretically, frisson may be caused by the energy rushing from phase locking your heart, resonating with the love frequency of 528 Hz, with the fundamental vibration of creation, or pure consciousness, generating ecstasy. It makes sense that 528 Hz sound, like 528 nm light, vibrating biology, bioacoustically, and electromagnetically, produces ecstatic listening and frisson, just as creation is administered by this most natural music. This is the next passage. Thank you, everybody who was here. I appreciate you all being here. Holy Harmony. Thousands of people have listened ecstatically to the Holy Harmony CD by Jonathan Goldman, recorded in the perfect circle of sound, and Scott Huckabee's live concert CDs, recorded in 528 Hz. Goldman's experimental classic, using the progressive sequence of the original solfeggio set of 6 pure tones, expressly encouraged ecstatic listening. To begin his project, he produced a tuning fork set to guide vocals. He struck the forks in an ascending manner, chanting the Hebrew letters of the Messiah's name to generate a flow of energy up the spine, intending healing by balancing the chakras. His loving labor has worked wonders for thousands of listeners. Goldman intuited the use of these forks in this particular manner creates a sacred spiral that seems to encode itself as a matrix upon the cellular structure, and particularly on the DNA. I believe this is the matrix of the higher human, helping create an evolutionary step in our genetic encoding, he wrote. Goldman further reported that these tones, when used in ascending or descending order, seem to have the ability to nullify any frequencies that are counterproductive to our highest good. He was discerning in training the chakra system with the matrix math of creation. Goldman theorized these frequencies create a blanket of divine sounds that may counter the effects of harmful energy that give rise to bacteria and viral diseases. His thesis paralleled the early work of Antoine Béchamp regarding the germ theory of infectious diseases. The frequencies, Goldman proposed, likely nullify and dissipate disharmonious energies that may be trying to establish themselves upon our physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual essences into what we call stress and disease. It has been our great pleasure to bear witness to people who have told us astounding stories of healing that occurred simply through listening to Holy Harmony. We can also testify that healthcare practitioners who have recorded extraordinary transformational and healing experiences with clients while using the Holy Harmony CD and or tuning forks. Given what we know now about the musical mathematics of creation and the crystallization of physical matter from pure potential energy of flowing electrons the Bible calls ether, Goldman had unwittingly described phase locking the human to the divine. It is the antecedent of ecstatic listening, frisson, and establishing peace on earth. Wow, that is, that's chapter 9. I'll read the last sentence again. This is the antecedent of ecstatic listening, frisson, and establishing peace on earth. Phase locking ourselves to the divine, phase locking ourselves to 528 love. This word is definitely emphasized for a reason. But thank you all so much to everybody that's in here. I'm going to still stay on TikTok here for a little bit. But to those of you on YouTube, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for listening to this series. Thank you for being here live to listen to this series. we will be back here tomorrow. That's going to be tough with tomorrow because tomorrow is Meditation Monday. So I'm going to do my best to maybe do the stuff before Meditation Monday or maybe after. We'll have to see. I'm going to be updating my Instagram with what times I'm going to be going live tomorrow. I'll make sure to do that before I do go live. And to those of you on YouTube or on TikTok, if you'd like to make sure you're catching in, I will post my YouTube stream at least 1 hour before I do it. So if you'd like to get an update as to when that stream gets posted, please hit the bell next to my name on the subscribe button. I don't know where it is, but that bell will give you a notification when I post something new and will tell you when I'm going to go live. But otherwise, tomorrow's going to be a day. It's going to be a lot of streaming tomorrow. I'll be here pretty much on camera all day. So hopefully I'll see you all tomorrow. If not, it's totally okay. Thank you all so much for tuning into this again. If you're in the future, thank you so much for listening to this series. And I will see you tomorrow. Okay. Peace.